In grounded theory, it's important to start thinking theoretically right away about how things influence one another, what conditions under which things happen, what are the consequences of things. I like to go from very early on and create some potential relationships that can be in place. And I've just prepared a few of them now. You can have actually many more based on what kinds of conditions and how you look at different kinds of things. And you can derive these straight from grounded theory textbooks, and we'll talk about that in class. But for instance, under the classifications, you have relationship types. The default is just that things are associated with one another. So you can take two nodes, two trees, and say these two things go together. Um, for our demonstration purposes early on, you can think about some other things. That something prepares the way for something, something enables something to happen. I think of those as different, that one is kind of removing barriers, and one starts a machine going. And then leads to, I think of as more kind of going in a chronological sequence. You see those are finely different. They could all just be causes, but it's important to have that kind of stuff going on. You can call them whatever you want. I try to have as much categories as I can early on, and then I can say, well, basically, leads to, prepares, and enables are all kind of facets of this goes before that. But I like to keep them open. Once you've created these, and you can use the new menu to create more of those, or you can just right-click and hit New Relationship Type, then you can go back to your nodes and start doing some new relationships. So here I've done a little more coding. That digging up the past or identifying with class content seemed to lead people to want to prevent problems. But using the class information to think about potential action it allowed them to plan what to do. So kind of we have a sequence here of identifying with class content, leading to attention to rights of marginalized groups, leading to wanting to prevent problems. But then you can be overwhelmed, and so you can get relief from being other students giving you ideas, or through using class information to think of potential action. There are a lot of relationships here. I might want to just kind of make a memo that talks about that. And so to make a memo, I can go with sources, click memos, hit a new memo, and call this first reactions. Not FERT, but first. And a memo is just a document. And so I just type in it. So in class, people might personally identify with what is being, in so doing, they begin to identify with a marginalized group, which in turn causes them to want to take action. So they want to take action. But this can lead to being overwhelmed unless class content or student interactions, e.g. blog discussion, give concrete goals and courses of action. That's my first reaction. I might change that, but that's my first reaction memo. I can close this, it'll save it for me. And now I can go ahead and put some of that into relationship nodes. So, real personal thing here might be digging up the past goes with attention to rights of marginalized group. You see, if you do this really early on, you can have nodes from everywhere to everywhere. So generally, you might want to do this a little further and use your memos just for thinking this through. But to show you how to do this, oh, and it's reminding me to save, so that's always a good thing. Let's say that we take identifying with class content, and we want to say that identifying with class content prepares people to pay attention to the rights of a marginalized group. And so to do that, I'm going to come up with a new relationship node. I'll say from what, select, and it gives me all of my possibilities, internals, externals, memos. This is between two free nodes. And I said identifying with class content is where it starts. It is associated, but I actually think that it leads to, enables, removes boundaries. Prepares is more, actually leads to is more temporal the way I've defined it. Prepares is, it gets your juices flowing. So let's say this prepares you to pay attention to the rights of a marginalized group. And it is a directional thing. One happens before the other. That's how I've defined it. And I'll just put that here. It says, oh, okay, well, there's an arrow that goes between these two things. Now, I might go later on and pay attention and to see if this is confirmed or not in the data. And I might change the names of everything here. But this is one way of keeping those relationships in mind. And in grounded theory, you really do want to look at relationships, conditions, consequences, whatever's going on.